I still remember the moment that I realized my breast pump was sabotaging me. I was doing everything right, or so I thought, and yet I was exhausted, underproducing, and totally overwhelmed. I know based on what you've seen me teach other mothers on this channel for a lot of years now, that this might be hard to believe, although I've shared my story many times. But I actually had a really hard time pumping in my back to work experience with my first baby. And that's why I'm here. I want to make sure that doesn't happen to you. My name is Allison. I'm an internationally board certified lactation consultant and a breast pump expert. I've been serving mothers in the pregnancy and lactation space since 2009, along with living my own motherhood journey since 2014. I worked really hard to breastfeed my babies. Like so many of you, it was really important to me. But my back to work pumping experience was less than ideal, which is really what led me to diving into the world of understanding breast pumps. I want to help as many moms as possible in their pumping journey, whether they're planning to go back to work or stay home with their babies, pump a little or a lot, pump exclusively or complementary. I want every breastfeeding mom out there to find the calm, confidence, and peace that comes with just knowing what you're doing. In this video, I want to share a little bit about my personal experience so that you can know you're not alone. I've been there. And if you stick around to the end, I'll show you how you can avoid making these same mistakes I made with my breast pump and how to do it better than I did. I graduated nursing school in 2009 and quickly started working with pregnant and breastfeeding mothers. I started my career as an OB nurse doing prenatal care, and I quickly got my CLC certification, which is kind of like a smaller lactation certification, so that I could start helping the lactating mothers in our office, because I realized pretty quickly that we had a lot of breastfeeding mothers coming in looking for help there, but the physicians and midwives didn't really have training in breastfeeding. They didn't really know how to help them really in depth. Medical school really was designed to handle all of the complexities of pregnancy, birth, etc., but they didn't spend a lot of time teaching about how to feed babies from the breast. So I got my CLC and started taking over those visits, and that really helped me realize that I am not a blood and guts ER nurse. I really love education. Walking a patient through what's happening medically, helping them really understand their own body and empowering them to do whatever they're trying to do was really fulfilling for me. So after I had my first son in 2014, I worked really hard to breastfeed him. Like I said, it was not easy. I ran into a lot of roadblocks there. And even as someone who was trained in breastfeeding, it was still really hard. I had to ask a lot of friends and colleagues for help. And by the time I finished maternity leave, we had a handle on it. And I'm like, perfect, now I'm gonna go back to work. Things are good. But they weren't. It was a wild ride. I kind of just thought I was going to put the pump on and push go and the milk would come out. Like, the milk was there. I had worked really hard to get it there. That was pretty far from the truth. The longer I've worked in this field of pumping, the more I realize that this is true for a lot of moms who come to this channel in search of help. My hope-based plan did not work at all. I had the perfect schedule. I had my own office. I worked as a school nurse at the time, so I really thought things were just going to work. Breastfeeding was super important to me, and I was not against formula, and am still not against formula. It's a great option and saves babies' lives. Like, we feed the babies, right? But for me personally, breastfeeding and breast milk was just really important. And I did end up having to supplement with formula for the last several months because I just could not pump enough milk. It wasn't because I didn't have the milk supply, because on weekends and evenings we were fine and just breastfeeding. It was because I couldn't get it out with a breast pump. It was extremely frustrating to me to know that this device was holding me back from my goals. I actually quit my job at the end of that school year and never returned to the formal workforce because it was not what I wanted for myself and my family. Fast forward to 2018, my family moved to Europe and I started this YouTube channel. That's when I really got into exploring breast pumps after recognizing that I wasn't the only one that struggled with this, and there was not a lot of objective data or even opinions really on breast pumps at the time. The only thing I really could find was user experiences, kind of one-off, here's what it did for my milk supply things. But my nursing scientific mind, I needed more data. Like, I wanted objective resources on these breast pumps, and it just didn't exist. I felt like I couldn't trust breast pump company marketing, right? They're obviously trying to sell their product and often target our worst fears. Online, there was so much conflicting advice from influencers. Some had some lactation credentials. Some were exclusively pumping moms, so they had a lot of their own personal experience, but it all felt so generic and salesy and opinion-based, right? No one was really answering these questions on how are these breast pumps different? How do I know which one is going to work well for me? So started buying some breast pumps and started making videos on them, and then realized that my personal input was not enough. So I hired an engineer and we developed a device that you all have lovingly named the Boobie Barometer. It has a technical name, but that's usually what we call it. This device allows me to test breast pumps so I can have actual data to show you. I remember when I started, I, like many of you, thought it needs a lot of suction, right? Higher suction, that's better. But breast pumps are so much more than that. And if you've been on this channel for a while, you probably know that a little bit. But suction is important, but it is not as important as you think. Cycle speeds and suction patterns and the flange kit and style that you use with it, these are all really important and actually gives you information about what the pump can do. Because a lot of companies like to tout their high suction numbers, but pumping is so much more than maximum suction. We've talked about that on the channel before. I really needed to explain to mothers out there the difference between breast pumps in a simple but science-backed way. In 2020, I actually completed my IBCLC certification, which is a long road for any of you that have looked into doing that. And I realized lactation consultants get zero pumping education. Zero. Who else is going to help mothers with their pumps if not lactation professionals? So that was kind of frustrating, but at least I understood lactation much better. So I continued on and learned, everything that I could about breast pumps. And it became a lot easier for me to start troubleshooting pumping issues and to teach those to mothers because I knew exactly what the pump was capable of. And I had some training on knowing exactly what women's bodies are capable of. Now I understand exactly what it takes to use a breast pump as a tool to assist in milk removal, not hinder your breastfeeding journey. I've spoken at lactation conferences for years. I've spoken internationally in places like Paris, developed training for other lactation professionals, published articles in peer-reviewed journals, been featured in the Washington Post, so many other opportunities because of the field I've entered as a breast pump expert. Over the past 4 years, I've worked one-on-one with hundreds of moms as a pumping and life coach, helping them find real solutions, the kind that work in real life, really balancing the science and the practical. That is what we're all about here. I learned all about their pumps, their pumping schedules, tricks that they each use to stimulate letdowns, issues they run into at home and at work that cause their milk supply to drop. I learned what a variety of breast shape and sizes there are. You name it, I've pretty much seen it at this point. And the biggest thing I've learned, a pattern that repeats itself over and over again, it's not that moms aren't trying hard enough. There's nothing wrong with your body. Your breast pump is a robot. It's a machine, and you may not be using it correctly. After 4 years of high-touch coaching, something started to change. I kept seeing the same questions come up, the same problems over and over again. And while I love every second of coaching and working with moms one-on-one, especially working mothers, since that's what mirrored my own story so closely, I realized that my reach is limited. So many moms are experiencing the same issues with pumping and breastfeeding. Some of you are going back to work, but some of you are not. Being able to really niche down and help working moms specifically has been an honor and a joy. I've loved it. But I really want to be able to help a lot of you pumping moms. I know there are thousands of you out there that are really struggling with these same issues. So I decided to shift and do something different, and I'm excited to share with you our new library of DIY pumping and breastfeeding courses. I've taken everything I've learned over the last 8 years of doing this and all of the coaching methods, the tools, the proven results, and I've built a series of DIY courses that any mom can access for anywhere at any time. These courses follow my tried and tested methodology to build, protect, and control your milk supply. That's what it's all about. So here's what you'll find on the New Little Life platform. First, the Pumping Efficiently course. If you've been following me for a while, you've probably already guessed that pumping efficiently has to do with more than just picking the perfect breast pump for you. That is the nice place to start. But then we got to figure out how to well empty your breast every time you sit down to pump. There's so much that goes into getting good output with pumping, which is why inside the Pumping Efficiently course, I want to teach you how to become your own pumping expert so that you can build your milk supply by learning and doing things like self-measuring and choosing the best flange size for your breast shape, size, and texture, finding your breast storage capacity so you don't have to pump more often than you need to, how to intentionally encourage multiple letdowns during pumping, using different pumping techniques to help use your pump to its full capacity, how to fully empty your breasts as quickly as possible every time you sit down to pump, and how to stay emotionally and mentally healthy through it all. This course is really built for any mom who's using a breast pump. We want you to be your own pumping expert, so you know exactly how you best respond to your pump, so you can troubleshoot issues that come up and solve them quickly without spending hours of searching Google, and most importantly, without losing your milk supply. Second, we have a course for you on milk supply mastery. So once you've mastered removing milk from your breast with a pump, other questions will come up like, how is my milk production? How do I know how much milk I should be pumping? How do I store milk and feed it to my baby? If things aren't going as planned, you might have questions around supplements or formula use, introducing those all together. Here's a brief overview of what's included inside the Milk Supply Mastery course. We'll talk about milk production, supply and demand, and how your supply changes over time. Milk output, what is normal and what is normal for you? What if there's a drop? What if you produce too much? We're also going to cover bottle feeding, because if you pump milk, you got to feed it in a bottle, right? Getting your baby to accept a bottle, paste feeding, everything you need to know about nipple confusion and how to avoid that. We also cover a lot of logistics, how to store breast milk and warm it up safely. We'll troubleshoot and fix any dips or oversupplies so that you can be in control. And eventually, how do we wean from the breast pump? The Milk Supply Mastery course is designed specifically for being in control of your milk supply when adding a pump to your feeding experience, whether fully or occasionally. To be clear, this milk supply course is really geared toward the pumping aspect of it, okay? Anyone can slap a pump on, but can you handle all the other aspects of keeping a healthy supply? This gets really complicated too when you start combining it with feeding at the breast, which is what we cover in there as well. I want you to really understand your own milk supply, your own body, and know how to adjust it up and down. Creating a predictable milk supply is the goal of this course, and that's what we're going to help you learn how to do. Ideally, these two courses are best taken together. So we actually have a bundle to save you a little money. I encourage you to take them together. Step one is really learning how to use a breast pump efficiently so you can well drain your breast every time, and then you can find that control of your milk supply and protect it using a pump. So those two courses are really ideally the best when they're taken together. And of course, if you're planning to go back to work or will need to be away from your baby for long periods of time, you will also benefit from our Back to Work Blueprint. The Back to Work Blueprint is designed specifically for working pumping moms. This are the moms that I've been working with for a lot of years. It includes the two courses we just talked about, Pumping Efficiently and Milk Supply Mastery. And then it also has additional modules developed based on the needs of moms who will be pumping at work. The Back to Work Blueprint includes lessons on what laws and regulations support you as a pumping mother in the workplace, how to create a pumping schedule that is flexible and adaptable to your workday, how to utilize wearable pumps. It's a really common thing for working moms. Creating your pumping space at work, packing your bag, storing your milk safely, all of the logistics that come with that. Finding a balance between work and parenting, tips for traveling, and a lot of mindset things as well. It can be really tricky to switch between work brain and milk brain often during the day. Lots of tips and tricks inside there for you. In all of these courses, we're going to be using the same frameworks that's helped one-on-one clients increase their output, cut down on their pumping time, and stop second guessing themselves every step of the way. And because you get to DIY it, you get to become your own pumping expert. You get to understand your own milk supply. So you can know what works best for you so that you can eliminate anything that doesn't need to be in your life, and you can find confidence and control in your pumping journey. I know what it feels like to wonder if your body is failing you, to sit alone with your pump and question if it's even worth it anymore. And I want you to know there's nothing wrong with you. You just need the right plan and the right tools. Your breast pump is an excellent tool, and it can be so helpful if you know how to use it properly, and properly for you as an individual. How to program your settings, how to pick the right flange size for you, how to maintain it, how to stimulate letdowns and mimic the experience of a baby feeding at the breast. And as much as we all love the midnight Google search rabbit holes, wouldn't it be nice to be able to feel confident in what you're doing and really trust yourself to know that you can do this, to finally get the results that you are looking for so you can hit the goals you have for you and your baby. If you're ready to take the guesswork out of pumping, stop wasting time, and start seeing real progress, then these courses were made for you. There's a link below down in the description to learn more about all of the offerings that we offer here at New Little Life, most of which are centered around pumping and putting you in the driver's seat of your own experience. You get lifetime access, step-by-step process videos, downloadable tools to help you track your progress, everything I wish I would have had when I went back to work as a pumping mom. You deserve to feel confident in your pumping journey. You deserve a pump that works with you, not against you. And I'd be honored to walk you through that process. Be sure to subscribe if you want more pumping and breastfeeding tips for free every week here on the YouTube channel. And check the link down below to learn how you can become your own pumping expert. Happy pumping.